Okay, everyone. Shall we make a start? And I'll just keep admitting people as they arrive. So thank you so much for booking on to join this, what I know will be a really interesting and engaging session with Melissa. Melissa, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Melissa's from Maggs Daycentre, but she will be introducing herself, so I won't elaborate too much. But we have got real expertise today in someone who lives and breathes this subject matter and has got some great examples as well to share with us all. So I will hand over to Melissa. We are going to be recording the meeting, so I hope that's okay with everyone. When we are able, we are going to be sharing the recordings, uploading the recordings of all the Lunch and Learn sessions onto the Alliance website and also onto the Alliance YouTube channel. We've just got a technical hitch with it at the moment. It's saying the files are too big, so we're resolving that. But our intention is that all of the Lunch and Learn sessions, the recordings will be available to view and to share afterwards. At the end as well, after the session, Melissa has kindly agreed that we can also share the presentation slides with everyone. And again, we'll be putting those onto the Alliance website in what is currently being created, a new resource section on the website. So without further ado, I will hand over to Melissa. Thank you, Melissa. Could everybody put themselves on silent as well, please?
Including me.
Not you.
Fab, I'll just share my screen. Hopefully it works. It's thinking about it. Oh, hold on. Bear with. I'm having technical issues now. Bear with everyone. There we go. Can everyone see that? Everyone see? Hands up.
Yes, I can see it, Melissa.
Fab.
All good.
Right, so hello everyone. Firstly, I hope, oh, so we've got hands up. Everyone can see, yeah. Right, I'm just going to start. Firstly, I hope everyone can hear me because I have got about 100 fans on me. So if you haven't, just drop us a note in the chat and we'll try and sort something out. But good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for coming. It's been, I feel like I've been chatting to Susie about it for ages, so excited that it's finally around here. But I'm Melissa, so I'm Fundraising and Comms and Relationships Manager at Maggs Daycentre, the longest job title in the world. But as you all probably recognise, that fundraising is a huge undertaking with lots to do. So before we start, I just want to say this isn't designed to be a lecture or me trying to bleat on that I know everything. This is very much a practical conversation about what works, what doesn't work, tried and tested. We've done a lot. So I've worked in comms and fundraising, well, comms specifically for over 10 years, but fundraising in the last 3 years, mostly within the charitable sector. And like many of you, I wear far more hats than my job title suggests. And also, like Sue said, if we could save questions to the end, if that's okay, just so I can get through the slides and then just jot anything down as we go. So without further ado, so as I say, a quick show of hands, but I can't see everyone's screen, so I'm just going to go through. But I mean, imagine everyone does a bit of fundraising, bit of communications, social media, updating the website, planning events to get money in, partnerships, shaking hands, media, talking to journalists, volunteer recruitment, trustee recruitment. Typically, small VCSE organisations don't have marketing teams or fundraising teams. They have one person and everyone kind of, I imagine, mucks in together. One thing is very clear in the charitable sector, especially in Worcestershire, it's everyone's so passionate about what they do, and that's been really eye-opening for me, as obviously this is my first kind of Worcestershire-based charity experience, but everyone does have that muck-in mentality, which is great, but it also means having a lot to do. So why this session? Like I said, I haven't come here because I think I've cracked it. If only I wish. I've come here because I spend every single day living and breathing fundraising and all of the above, and trying new things. Some things work, some things don't. And working at Maggs, it means I've very much been sitting across fundraising, comms, partnerships, PR, and leading the strategy, and everything is somebody. Today's session is very much what I wish somebody had kind of told me years ago and reassured me. So the biggest myth I hear probably weekly is that social media is just posting on Facebook. I wish that it was that easy. Social media is, you know, building awareness, building trust, building relationships, or encouraging support. And it's yes, it's fundraising, but it is marketing as well. But fundraising is usually the end result of these things, but it's very much not the starting point. You know, things that we always say in my team, it's thinking about the content, thinking about posting, what times is good, are people going to see it, all of the above. And it's not something that can just be quickly put on there, and the images as well. And my experience is people can't support with what they don't know exists. So my experience with Maggs, I was very much brought on as a new role capacity. We realised, you know, the sector needs to be out there. You need to be your profile raised and, you know, be in those conversations when people are out about talking. But ultimately, if you haven't got a platform, people won't buy into what you do if they just see something on a post. They need to know, do you have volunteers? Can they sponsor you? Can they refer someone? Can you even be a trustee? But they need to know who you are, what you actually do, and why it may, you know, benefit them or resonate with them, or why it matters. So for example, I support pigs because I love pigs, so I typically support animal sanctuaries. Or there's a lady here who I work with who has survived breast cancer, so she supports breast cancer. But it's that finding those kinds of ways to raise awareness within your community, but also introducing it to people who might not have heard about you, because sometimes we become so immersed in our own organisations that we forget that most people do know very little about us. So what stops you telling your story? So let's be honest, the usual is time, having no ideas, no confidence in being able to, you know, feel they can post on social media or write a blog or post something if you've got no followers. Typically in this kind of sector we have no budget, but almost everyone I hear says those things. And if you've got nobody designated to do that with fundraising experience, it can seem very daunting. But the good news is that none of those are actual deal breakers for you. So the typical storytelling formula that we go by is people don't remember statistics, they remember people. So every story can be simplified into 5 steps. So the person, who is at the heart of your story, what are you trying to achieve, what are they, why are they with you, what are they doing? And then the challenge. So ultimately the aim of your organisation, the action you took to help that person, the outcome that happened, and then the wider impact. So if you can follow that structure, you've got a compelling story. And we literally live and breathe that every time we do an impact post, just to make it short, sharp, and keep it concise to the actual, your message of your organisation. So where do stories live? So again, this is probably the question I get asked most. So where do I even find their stories? Everywhere. That you do the work. So reception conversations that people have in the admin, volunteer feedback, you have emails, events, photos, conversations after meetings. You know, one habit that's transformed the way I work is very much keeping a content bank. So if any stories come up, I mean, the team here could, you know, we're currently having the heat wave, so we're working with the sweat protocol. One of our managers wanted to do a massive thank you post to all of the staff that have worked endlessly at the last heat wave. that was one of our biggest engagement, and that's just something so simple that we post and gets huge engagement, quite rightfully so, because they do work their butts off. But it's, again, just having a photo of staff, and that just helps raise the awareness. We have like a donation of dog food that comes in, just things like that. It sounds silly, but it does just kind of keep your name up there, and people are like, why are they posting about dog food? And then they naturally then want to know more about you. But every time, so one habit that I also do is whenever I hear a lovely quote or see something interesting, I save it. Again, it might be something that I've seen about Christmas now, which seems absolutely crazy with the heat wave, but future Melissa is always grateful when I run out of things to post. So a few tips to tell it well. So people often overcomplicate storytelling. Honestly, if you just keep it simple, use real language. Imagine you're telling a friend over coffee, so you don't need kind of corporate jargon. It is long paragraphs, and you definitely don't need 20 hashtags. You just need to be, like I said, if you're just telling your friend about it over a coffee one day, it is just something that I always say someone scrolling on their phone will stop and read and think, because it is hard to kind of differentiate, because we're so engrossed in the kind of acronyms of homelessness, and like people don't recognize that. So I like to pretend that I'm kind of, say someone's hired me from an agency and I'm coming in completely indifferent to the organization and what they do, and I'm completely new, and I kind of use it from that perspective. So turning stories into support. So a very simple process. This is where communications becomes fundraising. So I'm very passionate about fundraising and marketing. They're two different entities, but they very much interlink. So good storytelling moves people through a journey. So first they notice you, then they understand, then they trust you, and then eventually, should that first post or the 10th post, eventually they will support you. That could be through a donation, that could be inquiring through to be a volunteer, or sometimes just sharing your post, commenting on your post. For example, SWEP's coming on, we have a post about bottles of water. We have people emailing us to see, what kind of other things do you need? That could be then great for the Christmas SWEP when we need donations. It's just all small wins that could build up to something massive at the end of the day, which is fantastic. So inspiration, kind of where to get you started. So when people tell me they have no content, I usually say, I don't believe you. Like, there's staff birthdays, there's volunteer milestones. That could be from someone who's been there for 5 years, someone could be there for a week. New people have come on board, they could do a story on their first week at your organisation. What do they find? And trying to drive that engagement. New partnerships. Have you been to visit someone else that you link with, and that could be someone who's doing the same thing as you, or somebody who might be volunteering to do something else with you, or behind the scenes, if someone's out and about, just give them a nudge to take a photo. That's a great story. Seasonal events as well. So obviously I keep referring to the heat wave, but heat wave, Christmas, Easter, summer holidays, just anything that you can also use, but then also use to prepare that for the future as well. And then service developments, just almost everything happening inside your organization is content. And again, it can be someone's like 50th birthday or anniversary, someone's been there for 5 years, just all of those things can be used for content. So how to make storytelling every day part of your everyday work. So this doesn't have to be another huge job. I mean, again, whenever I tell people, it's like, where do I start? But it is those kind of tiny habits to kind of ingratiate yourself. So things like taking more photos, writing down some good quotes, getting your staff to take some photos, and again, write down good quotes, save nice emails. And again, that can be from a volunteering perspective, a partnership perspective, a inquiry perspective. So if I have, even now, 3 years on being at Maggs, I will save kind of someone who's emailed me to say, thank you so much for coming to do this talk. X, Y, and Z was achieved from it. I will keep that, because you never know, I could use that as a content one day to say, oh, thank you for our visit, or keep statistics in one place, or ask colleagues to send you something when something good happens. It's just those tiny habits to keep monitoring. So, you know, if you want to kind of build that profile, you have that in your bank ready to go. But it's, you know, looking on the internet, finding like national hashtag day. So I've used to work at a marketing firm for bathroom furniture, and there was a national toilet day. I mean, you couldn't make it up, but you know, we were like, great, that works with us, we will post on national toilet day. And then linked it to Game of Thrones about using your iron porcelain throne or something like that. But again, it was funny and it got really good engagement from it. Just things like that. There is a day for everything these days. But those are kind of the small tips that you can take to kind of start building your bank of content. And like I said, you already have those amazing stories. So my biggest message today is this. You already have amazing stories, but you just probably don't think they're amazing because they are your normal. So to somebody outside your organisation, they are remarkable. So it can be just, for example, we helped 12 parents access emergency food last month. To you who lives and breathes your organisation, that's just the normal day to day. Whereas someone like me who doesn't know an organisation could be like, oh my goodness, that is amazing. That's the small things that can help you with your social media content. And again, it's easy to write about because you know this stuff. And then also, again, back to the previous slide about the kind of story, what's then the impact and the outcome? It meant they could put a meal on the table and focus on getting back on their feet. And then the wider outcome, those stronger families, healthier functions, stronger communities, how that impacts everybody else in the long run. But again, it's just those tiny habits again, looking back, thinking the small wins and keeping that bank of content to keep you going. So one example, I was trailing through all of my things from Maggs. So you don't always know what will work. This is a picture of lovely Margarita at Maggs. This is my favorite example. So it wasn't a fundraising campaign. It wasn't planned at all. It wasn't professionally photographed. I think I took it on my old iPhone at the time. It was just an authentic moment that we had someone donate a bin to us, to our clothing project. And again, a bin, I've never worked anywhere where we get so excited about a bin, but it meant such a huge transformation from our clothing. So now we didn't have people like kind of dumping the bags, people can dump them in a bin. And I was like, I'm just going to post this on social media. I hadn't long been at Maggs, so I was like, I'm just going to post it on social media, how it goes. And I mean, again, looking now, it's like 64 likes and 9 comments, 11 shares. That at that point was the highest engagement we've ever had. People loved it. We had lots of inquiries for people donating stuff, like people hadn't heard about us, they didn't realize that they could donate around the back of clothing at the time, and we were like, we have a bin. And it was amazing. It was the highest engagement, and because it represented something, community, generosity and progress. And it was sometimes the post that you're least confident about, because don't get me, I was umming and ahhing about posting this. I thought, this is ridiculous, but it was one of the things that people connected with the most. And bless her, she absolutely hates that photo, but I will use it forever. So again, a bin, who knew? So one of the big things I hear in most talks or workshops or anything I hear about is AI. So should charities use AI? I say yes, but responsibly. AI should support your voice. It should never replace it. So AI can help you draft. It can help you brainstorm. If you have a post, so for example, we have an event on in a couple of months and we want to kind of keep posting things consecutively, but we obviously don't want to keep regurgitating the same post again because people are going to get bored. You can help AI to kind of ask you, you know, can you rework this like another time to make it a bit more engaging, but ultimately it's keeping the same kind of outcome that you want. It can save you hours every week. However, it never should replace human judgment. That is my only thing. It is a very good starting point, but again, I say yes, but responsibly. And never invent stories, never exaggerate, and never remove dignity. Again, you are in control of your story, but AI can just help you kind of set the motion and ultimately save you time. You know, like we said right at the beginning, people are wearing lots and lots of hats. Any help responsibly is great. But other things I've also included is just some favorite free tools. Obviously, when I started with Maggs, we very much didn't have the kind of costs that I could be able to use my preferred, you know, Photoshop from when I worked back in the corporate world, where I had lots of a big budget to spend. So, you know, we use Canva. If you're on Facebook and Instagram, the Meta Business Suite, you can schedule your post, and they also give you recommendations on when it's best to time it, so based on your followers. So if your followers is, I always use my stepdad who's in his late 60s as a good example. He will come home from work about 5 and just peruse social media. So that is the best time to hit someone if your charity benefits someone who's in their late 60s. Again, I will peruse, so I'm in my 30s, I will peruse socials before my daughter wakes up at like 6 a.m. in the morning. That's the ultimate time to get me, because I will then screenshot and then come back to it later. That's the kind of things that the Meta Business Suite will help you with. And again, MailChimp is very good if you have a newsletter base that you could access, just making some good newsletter content. Again, they will advise you on best times to post and, you know, give you some kind of good statistics on your followers, so you can kind of use that to enhance. But yes, there is some very good free tools out there. Again, it's one of the daunting things people worry about. You know, I can't afford, I don't have a big budget, but there is free options out there. But again, you don't have to come away and download all of them. Just master one and then move on to the next. So your story has power, use it to create change. So one of the things I've learned across working, well, across the county, is very much people support people, relationships matter, community matters, and collaboration matters. When we share one another's successes, everyone benefits. So we, again, using Maz as an example, we do a lot of talks for Harvest, which is fantastic. We get a lot of schools, for example, donate, and it's one of our biggest drivers of the year in terms of, you know, food donations. But we have a lot of people that say, oh, you know, we like to make sure we do our food bank. And I always say, with genuine sincerity, it doesn't matter if someone decides to do their year supporting a food bank, because it's fantastic on a personal level, because, you know, food banks need the support as well. But we're all helping each other. So people who are service users who use Maggs most likely use the food bank. So either way, our service users are being benefited. So it is very much, there's so much good work on here, and it is inviting that connection and just, you know, we're all in this together type of thing, as corny as that sounds. But it is quite admiring going to various different networking events, and everyone kind of is in for the good of our hearts, but it is just making sure everyone's message is heard. So that, and again, that's what we're here to do today. And then, yes, just again, my next steps kind of would be, from the homework for today, is just, you know, if you've got kind of nowhere to start, if you have no following, I would say very much start small. You don't have to go in gung-ho, download everything, make loads of notes. It is starting small. Choose one story to tell this month. So, for example, the heat wave again. Is there anything that's working with you in the heat wave? Involving others. Go away, ask your team, volunteers. You know, most times our volunteers are very passionate, and they always come to me with stuff. Can we post this? They send me photos of them in the aprons because they want to just post their selfies, and that's fantastic because it saves us time. And going across, like seeing your services, taking photos of things like the bin, but also then using it to track your impact. If you have that time with the in a month's time, look at what worked, look at your kind of publishing stats, and then build on that, and then maybe go from 2 posts a month, you know, just make that storytelling as part of how you lead. But yeah, that's it for me. I feel like I've absolutely blasted through that. So should we take questions, Susie? What do you think?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you, Melissa. There's lots and lots of content there. So let's open it up now. If anybody has questions, then please do go ahead. Either put them in the chat or or raise your hand.
But also questions, but lots of kind of, you know, if you've got any good examples, please do share, because again, I'm not an expert. I've just lived and breathed it, and it's nice to hear other tips and tricks from other people.
I've got a question, Melissa.
Yes.
How does anybody know? How does any organisation know which is the best platform to choose? Because there are, like, you've got TikTok, you've got Instagram, you've got Facebook, for example. How would an organisation work out where their audience is?
So I would, if you wanted to start posting on social media, I would look at your typical supporter base. So for example, if you work with younger people, and younger people are where typically you're going to get your donors, or even your supporters, or, you know, you work with foster carers and you need to kind of target that market, I would look at what platform do they usually go on. I wouldn't say then go and master all like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of the above. I would just pick the one that suits your audience and make that the best you can. There is obviously, you know, lots of reports out there that can help you define kind of market research, what platform's best. Again, I use my stepdad's example. He is typically on Facebook, whereas if you're aimed towards the business professionals, that's usually LinkedIn. Instagram is becoming more of a bit of a mixed bag, but I would say is typically the younger generation. Obviously TikTok is the down with the kids kind of thing, but I would say just start small, choose one and do it well, rather than trying to do it all.
Yeah. What's the best campaign you've used to actually raise money or to gain sponsorship?
Oh, it's very much different. I would say it was not so much money, but donations. It is the kind of heart-provoking kind of, you know, like I say, the heat wave, or when it's absolutely freezing cold. That's so when sweat's cold, when we need bottles of water, because, you know, typically summer at Maggs, donations absolutely deplete. Quite rapidly, people are going away, schools are shut, it's just not on people's radar. So, you know, we always need donations, but that's when we see the most engagement, because it resonates with people. But I would say very much the kind of seasonal campaigns is our most successful.
You gave me an example when we were talking one of our previous conversations about how you had a business that was engaging with you, kind of like wanting to give you money, but you turned that around into a way they could actually sponsor Maggs. Do you want to talk about that a bit?
Oh yes, so we recently had an event. So we did a 10-mile walk as part of our 40th, and just when, you know, the day was done, we were all kind of chatting, and bless them, it was absolutely boiling. They just wanted to get out, so I was just doing the usual thank you for coming. But he was like, oh, have you got anything else coming up? And like next fundraisers, I said, oh, we're doing the runs in September, but, you know, I'm really struggling because we really want to get some nice t-shirts, but obviously we have no money and budget and blah blah blah. And he was like, oh well, let me know how much is it. And I said, and he was like, oh well, I'll be interested in doing the run, but also maybe my business can sponsor the t-shirts. And I was like, fantastic. But it's very much that, you know, I wouldn't have had that conversation if he hadn't engaged with the walk on the socials. And now I have literally the t-shirts sat in my office, like all bought and paid for, fantastic. But it is those early engagements on our socials that led to that.
would you ever use would you ever use a particular campaign specifically to attract sponsorship?
It depends on, so if we wanted something like corporate sponsorship, because that's obviously the business professionals, and I'm talking sponsorship if we wanted, something bought for an event or someone to be a sponsor of a big fundraiser that we've got going on, I would typically use LinkedIn to kind of tap into the chief execs and the business development managers and people who have the CSR, and the same with corporate volunteers. Businesses have CSR boxes they need to tick, so that's where I'd focus. Whereas if we needed something, I don't know, like a lunch cooked in the day centre, I would tap into the older, say kind of the millennial boomer kind of age market, who are typically on Facebook. So, and that's where I tag, and we literally just post and we just share it to all of the community notice boards, and just tag it and see what's. We're very good that people do buy it, and it does work. Again, it's just a simple making sure we're posting at the right time when people are typically perusing on socials and then sharing it.
Adam, I see in the chat that you've said something really quite interesting about the use of AI and posters. Are you happy to say something about that? Because I haven't come across that yet.
Yeah, so I'm in the board game space. I do a lot of stuff with Comic Cons. So particularly in that space where you've got actual artists who either have hobby jobs or day jobs making stuff, and all these events are getting filled by people who are just creating AI, the term is AI slop, and selling it. So definitely in a creative space, and I'm also finding in young people, there is a massive pushback against anyone who uses AI posters, and you can tell them because they all look nearly identical.
Yeah.
So it also shows a massive lack of creativity. And I've seen a couple of people go, well, if you can't, I know it's not true, because we all know how hard we work, but if you can't be bothered to make a good poster, why should I support you? So there's definitely a big backlash, I'm saying, in the artist space, creative space, nerd spaces, and young people. We are not using it. I would rather make it I do a lot of my posters in PowerPoint, because at least then the images stay where they're supposed to and they don't fall over the place, and they are good enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't personally use AI for content creation, because like you say, Adam, I constantly see comment, even not in a work capacity, but just when I'm on Instagram or something, just people saying, it's taken away creativity from struggling artists, videographer, everything. But I would just use it, if I've got a campaign, just to help me plan out, launch, that's kind of the way I would use it, but definitely not for posters.
What about that, Adam, you might have a view on this as well. In relation to the voluntary and community sector, and we've got small organisations, grassroots organisations, sometimes it's only one person. If their skill set isn't about being on Canva or creating, a poster for yourself, then actually AI is hugely efficient, isn't it, in enabling people to create documents that they don't have that skill set for all the time. So, yeah, I mean, how wide is that pushback in the context of this is hugely efficient in enabling more people, more organisations to get out there?
It's efficient unless you turn off 20% of your audience.
Are you saying?
So,
20% as in young people?
Well, it depends on your audience is. If your audience isn't young people or artists, then go for it. But if you are looking to attract, I'm seeing it across the board. There's also massive environmental factors and political factors with data centers and water usage and electricity prices. But we can't avoid it. But it's worth considering. I would say is, ask your audience, is there someone who can help you with posters? And we've been using the same template since 2019. We just changed the text on it. Is it creative? Is it great? I don't know, but that's what we've done. We had a graphic designer help us make a good template, and we just kept using it. It gives us brand consistency, but it means I don't have to worry about creating new graphics.
Thank you. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it is like Adam said, it's just you know, we're very fortunate we have good relationship with the college, and we will just say to the, you know, the college, does anyone who is in your graphics kind of department want to whack up a poster, and it's good for them, it's good for us. But I would say the same. When I started at Maggs, I was literally right, we'll just use Maggs green, make it a bit, give it a bit of oomph, and we'll go with that. You know, you work with what you can in your time capacity. I have also seen some good people do some good stuff on Paint, interestingly.
What's Paint?
You remember on Google, the Microsoft Paint back in the day, and they put like need a graphic designer. That was quite impactful.
Don't remember that.
Is there any other questions, or anyone else got any tips or tricks they can?
No?
No.
Okay, right. Well, thank you so much for that, Melissa. Really appreciate it. As I said, the slides will be, we'll send the slides out to you, and we will also put them onto the VCSE Alliance website. And our next Lunch and Learn session next month is actually going to be on the subject of AI. So, so that Lunch and Learn session is going to be on Wednesday, the 5th of August, again from 1 till 2 p.m. And we have Anne Limbert. She's going to be delivering the next session, and she's from Citizens Advice Worcester and Herefordshire, and has a level of expertise in the use and application of AI within the voluntary and community sector. So please look out for that. We'll be promoting it, but again, it's on Ticket Tailor, so you'll be able to sign up and register for that. Also, please do let me know if there are topics that you would really like covered. And we will then look to see either if you've got a suggestion of someone who you think would be great or would be interested in delivering a Lunch and Learn session. That would be wonderful. If not, we will look for willing experts who will come along and share their knowledge and skills with us. So do let me know if there is anything that you would like us to cover in one of these sessions.
Susie's very convincing, I promise. Also, can I just add, if anyone has got any other questions, I will pass on my email to Susie, but please feel free to reach out. I'm on LinkedIn because I appreciate these kind of forums. Everyone's like, oh, I don't want to ask questions, but yes, I'm happy to chat and happy to help.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you very much indeed. So enjoy the rest of your day, stay cool, and yeah, I hope to see you in August and some of you before. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.